These are the Cardiff Met University grade band descriptors. In our academic handbook, we have a range of grade band descriptors for understanding what to expect of a student when grading their work and setting their work for assessments at levels 4, 5, 6 and 7. These descriptors have recently been reviewed and they have been largely left as they were. But there's been some minor amendments which are currently going through approval, and they have also added a level 3 grade band descriptor for the foundation programme. The grade band descriptors are aligned with the expectations of students from HEFQ and QAA requirements discussed in the previous knowledge block, and the SEEK descriptors also discussed in the previous knowledge block. The grade band descriptors have also been aligned to the assessments requirements for students at a range of higher education providers as part of a benchmarking and consistency exercise. The descriptors, as you find them in the academic handbook, are somewhat complex and not in the most user-friendly of formats, and they have been left as small paragraphs, and these paragraphs require the reader to go through each of them in order to get the overview of what's expected of a student in that level. So as part of the project, these paragraphs have been whittled down to just short, punchy sentences, and then they've been turned into a table somewhat akin to a marking rubric. And so what you're seeing here on the screen is what could be termed as a marking rubric for all work at level 4. And so it outlines what's expected of students who are getting a first, students who are getting a 2-1, a 2-2, a third, etc. And these are broken up into each of the different areas of expectations of students. And so this is supposed to be a sort of comprehensive overview of what is required of students with regards to knowledge and understanding and the application of that knowledge, presentation, communication, data analysis and discussion, research and scholarship, etc. So if we look at the expectations of a student for a 2-1 at level 4, then the work should be of a good level. For knowledge and understanding, there should be detailed subject knowledge. You should be able to extend, transform and apply such knowledge. So take knowledge from different locations and then think about what you could surmise from the sum of that knowledge. And then potentially to postulate further thoughts and concepts from what building upon from what they've already learnt and demonstrated in their work. They should be able to discuss complex concepts, and this should be tackled, often it says tackled successfully, not always. And there should be evidence of independent thinking. If you think that, you see that goes back to the requirements from QAA, HEFQ and SEEK. Presentation communication, they should be able to present, evaluate and interpret data. Arguments should be, or judgments should be substantiated and well articulated. So good use of citations, etc. The work should be well presented, appropriately organised, and arguments well articulated. You'll notice that the here for data analysis and discussion, so evaluation of problem-solving approaches, problem-solving coming in there, considerable success in presenting and commenting on outcomes, and some linkage between theory and practice. For research and scholarship, there should be awareness of research and advanced scholarship in the area. Referencing is almost always accurate, and reading and investigation beyond the sources provided. Knowledge and understanding of research process and the ability to apply them. And finally, for the argument and critical evaluation, results should be communicated accurately and reliably. Arguments should be considered and substantiated, note that again. Judgments should be made, and appropriate solutions to problems are offered and reviewed. So note the review there, some element of self-analysis. Ability to reflect on the student's practice and plan future development. Again, you notice here these hark back to the requirements for self-management, able to develop themselves through their own practice and research. And some element of reflective thinking is suggested, but here it is explicitly stated. You want the students to be able to reflect on their own practice and work out where to improve. So you notice that these, and the way in which they're written, are very much towards a science and analytical based subject area, and they are also using terminology which may be commonly interpreted across all academic subjects, but in some areas they may have specific interpretations of some of these considerations within the gradeband descriptors. They are not intended to be a strict guide. They are intended to provide benchmarking and to help with levelness when members of staff are looking at students' assessments and working out what they want to require of them, and then for them grading those assessments once they've set them. And so these gradeband descriptors, they don't include things such as presentation skills or team working skills, and so here you'll note the gradeband descriptors give a general indication of the level rather than setting out a comprehensive and explicit set of requirements for students at that level. And so they're intended as a guide in order to provide some consistency for staff members when setting out their own assessment requirements.